Episode 5. The Weight of Secrets. The July heat pressed down on the Bronx like a physical force, turning asphalt to tar and tempers to tinder. Ray Tucker stood in the shadow of the abandoned brewery on Prospect Avenue, watching Diego's social club from across the street. 3 days of surveillance had taught him the rhythm of the place, who came and went, when the shifts changed, how Carlos positioned himself by the door like a human deadbolt. But watching wasn't enough anymore. They needed something concrete, something that could actually pull Miguel out before he drowned in Diego's world. Ray checked his watch. 2:47 p.m. Miguel would be inside now, counting money in the back room while Carlos smoked on the stoop. The pattern never varied. Diego Santos ran his operation like clockwork, which meant predictability, which meant vulnerability. Ray just had to find it. You planning to stare all day or actually do something? Ray turned to find Carmen Santos emerging from the alley beside him, her dark hair pulled back, eyes hidden behind oversized sunglasses. She wore a simple yellow sundress that seemed too innocent for the conversation they were about to have. "Thought you'd be at work," Ray said, keeping his voice low. "Called in sick." Carmen pulled off her sunglasses, and Ray saw the exhaustion carved into her face. "Couldn't sleep. Keep thinking about Miguel in there, learning things he can't unlearn." "You came to help?" Carmen's laugh was bitter. "I came because I'm tired of being my brother's accomplice. You said you needed information about Diego's operation. I know things Miguel doesn't know yet." Ray's pulse quickened. "Like what?" "Not here." Carmen glanced up and down the street. "Diego has eyes everywhere. There's a place, the old Lowe's Paradise Theater on the Grand Concourse. Meet me there in an hour. Back entrance by the stage door." Before Ray could respond, she was walking away, her yellow dress bright against the gray concrete. Ray watched her go, then looked back at Diego's social club. Through the window, he could see movement, shadows shifting in the dim interior where Miguel was learning to be someone he wasn't. Marcus Williams sat in the Columbia University admissions office, surrounded by forms that felt like prison sentences. The counselor, a middle-aged white woman named Mrs. Henderson, smiled at him from across the desk. "You'll need to submit your housing preferences by August 1st, she was saying. "And these are the work-study positions available for fall semester. Given your financial situation, I'd recommend applying for multiple options." Marcus nodded, not really hearing. Through the window behind Mrs. Henderson, he could see Morningside Heights spreading out below. A world so far removed from the Bronx, it might as well be another planet. In 6 weeks, this would be his home. In 6 weeks, Miguel would still be trapped. "Mr. Williams, are you listening?" "Yeah, sorry." Marcus forced himself to focus. Work study, multiple applications. Mrs. Henderson's smile tightened. "This is a tremendous opportunity, Marcus. I hope you understand that. Students from your background don't often get chances like this." Your background. The words hung in the air, polite and poisonous. Marcus had heard variations all his life, from teachers who were surprised when he did well, from guidance counselors who suggested trade schools, from the cop who'd stopped him last year for walking through his own neighborhood. "I understand," Marcus said, gathering the forms. "Thank you for your time." Outside, the afternoon sun felt different here, cleaner somehow, as if even the light knew it was in a better neighborhood. Marcus walked toward the subway, the forms heavy in his backpack, heavier than paper should be. His mother's face flashed through his mind. Helen Williams at the kitchen table at 2 a.m., glasses sliding down her nose as she reviewed his scholarship applications. The way she'd cried when the acceptance letter arrived, tears of joy mixed with something that looked like grief. "Your father would be so proud," she'd said. But his father was dead, and Miguel was dying in a different way, and Marcus was supposed to just leave and pretend it was all okay because he'd made it out. The subway platform was crowded with students and tourists, people who moved through the world without looking over their shoulders. Marcus found a spot against the wall and pulled out the forms Mrs. Henderson had given him. Housing preferences, meal plans, orientation schedules. He thought about Miguel counting Diego's money, learning the safe combinations, becoming complicit in something that would eventually consume him. 2 months wasn't enough time. Hell, 2 years might not be enough. The train arrived, and Marcus stepped on, finding a seat near the back. As the car lurched forward, carrying him back toward the Bronx, he made a decision. He pulled out a pen and began writing on the back of one of the forms. Not housing preferences, but a plan. Names, places, connections, everything they knew about Diego's operation, everything they still needed to find out. If he was going to leave Miguel behind, he'd make damn sure he'd done everything possible to save him first. Tommy Ritchie's knuckles were raw from hitting the heavy bag in Sal's basement, but he kept swinging. Left hook, right cross, left hook again. Each punch drove back the memory of his father's voice last night, slurred and cruel. Your mother wasted her life on you, just like she wasted it on me. Tommy had left the apartment before he did something he'd regret. Walked the streets until dawn, then came here to Sal's, where the old man let him use the makeshift gym in the basement for free. You're gonna break your hands, kid. Tommy turned to find Sal descending the stairs, carrying 2 bottles of Coca-Cola. The old Italian was in his 60s, thick around the middle, but still solid, with the kind of face that had seen everything and been surprised by none of it. Here, Sal handed him a bottle. Take a break before you hurt yourself. Tommy unwrapped his hands and accepted the Coke, the cold glass shocking against his heated skin. They sat on the basement steps in silence, listening to the muffled sounds of the diner above. Dishes clattering, voices murmuring, the jukebox playing Suspicious Minds. Your old man still drinking? Sal asked finally. Tommy nodded. Mine did too, after he came back from the war. Sal took a long drink. Used to beat my mother, beat us kids. One day I got big enough to hit back, put him through a window. What happened? He stopped hitting us, started hitting the bottle harder instead. Dead of liver failure by 52. Sal looked at Tommy. I'm not saying that's the answer, understand? I'm saying sometimes there aren't good answers. Sometimes you just survive until you can get out. And if you can't get out, then you survive anyway. Make something different for your own kids. Sal stood, joints cracking. You got potential, Tommy. I see it. Don't let your father's poison become yours. After Sal went back upstairs, Tommy sat alone in the basement, thinking about poison and potential, about fathers and sons, and the weight of disappointment that got passed down like an inheritance. His father had worked at the Chrysler plant for 20 years, building cars that other people drove away from neighborhoods like this. 3 months ago, they'd laid him off. Now Frank Ritchie sat in their apartment, drinking cheap whiskey and mourning a life that had never been what he'd hoped. Tommy understood that bitterness. Hell, he lived it every day, watching Marcus prepare for Columbia, knowing his own future held nothing but the same dead-end jobs that had killed his father's spirit. But unlike his old man, Tommy refused to drown in it. He rewrapped his hands and stood, facing the heavy bag again. This time when he hit it, he wasn't fighting his father's voice. He was fighting the neighborhood itself, the invisible walls that kept people like him trapped in place while people like Marcus got to leave. Left hook, right cross, left hook. He'd help save Miguel. He'd be there for his friends. And then he'd figure out how to save himself. The Lowe's Paradise Theater had been closed for 2 years, its Baroque interior slowly surrendering to decay. Ray slipped through the stage door Carmen had indicated, finding himself in darkness that smelled of mildew and forgotten dreams. Back here. Carmen's voice led him through the backstage area, past props and costume racks shrouded in dust. She'd found a spot in one of the old dressing rooms, where light filtered through a cracked window. Used to come here as a kid, Carmen said, sitting on a makeup counter. Before they closed it, Diego would bring me on Saturdays. He was different then, or maybe I just didn't see who he really was. Ray leaned against the doorway. What changed? Our father died. Diego was 17. Suddenly, he was the man of the house, responsible for me and our mother. The neighborhood ate him alive. Carmen's voice hardened. But that doesn't excuse what he's doing to Miguel, what he's done to a lot of people. You said you know things. Diego's operation isn't just protection money and gambling. He's moving heroin now. Has been for about 6 months. Carmen met Ray's eyes. That's what Miguel's really learning in that battle. Not just how to count money, but where it comes from, who the suppliers are, the distribution network. Ray felt ice in his stomach. Jesus. Miguel doesn't know yet. Diego's easing him in, making him comfortable with the money first. But eventually he'll figure it out, and by then he'll be too deep to walk away. You can't know about heroin distribution if you just leave. You become a liability. So Diego's not just recruiting Miguel, he's making sure Miguel can never escape. Exactly. Carmen pulled out a cigarette, lit it with shaking hands. There's more. Diego has a supplier meeting next week, Thursday night at a warehouse on Hunts Point. If you could somehow document it, photos, recordings, something concrete, you'd have leverage, evidence that could put Diego away for years. Ray's mind raced. Why are you telling me this? He's your brother. Because Miguel looks at me the way Diego used to look at our mother. I'm something worth protecting, and I'm destroying you. Carmen's voice broke. I can't live with that, even if it means betraying my own blood. She told him the details. The warehouse address, the time, the security setup. Ray committed it all to memory, already planning how they could make this work. It was dangerous, possibly suicidal, but it was a real chance. Carmen, Ray said as he prepared to leave. After this goes down, you can't be anywhere near Diego. He'll know it was you. I know, she smiled sadly. Maybe it's time I got out too, before this neighborhood poisons me the way it poisoned him. Ray left through the stage door, emerging into the late afternoon sun. He had 4 days to plan, 4 days to convince Marcus and Tommy that this insane idea could work. 4 days to figure out how to document a heroin deal without getting killed. As he walked toward the subway, Ray felt the weight of what Carmen had given him. It wasn't just information. It was a bomb, and setting it off would destroy lives on all sides. But Miguel was drowning, and sometimes the only way to save someone was to burn down the whole damn building they were trapped in. Miguel Rodriguez stood in Diego's back room, staring at the open safe. Inside were stacks of bills rubber-banded together, more money than Miguel had ever seen in one place. But it was the small plastic bags in the corner that made his hands shake. Heroin. Dozens of bags, maybe hundreds, each one containing enough poison to destroy a life. Beautiful, isn't it? Diego appeared in the doorway, Carlos looming behind him. The gang leader's smile was warm, almost paternal. That's the future, Miguel. Not the money, that's just paper. But what it represents. Freedom, power, the ability to control your own destiny instead of letting the neighborhood control you. Miguel couldn't look away from the bags. He thought of Polly, the junkie who haunted their block, skin hanging off bones, eyes hollow with need. He thought of the kids in the neighborhood who'd started using, bright futures dimming into nothing. I thought you ran protection, Miguel said. Gambling. I didn't know about the heroin? Diego stepped closer. I was waiting for the right time to tell you. You're ready now. Smart enough to understand the business, loyal enough to be trusted with the truth. People die from this. People die from poverty too, from dead-end jobs and broken dreams, from Vietnam. Diego's voice hardened. I'm offering an alternative. Not a perfect one, but better than what the system gives us. You think Columbia University gives a damn about kids from the Bronx? You think the draft board cares if you live or die? Miguel thought about Marcus, preparing to leave for a world Miguel would never see. About his own draft notice, probably already in the mail. About Carmen, trapped in this family, this life. I need you to make a delivery Thursday night. Diego continued. Nothing major, just bringing product to a meeting at Hunts Point. Carlos will be with you. Consider it your graduation. It wasn't a request. Miguel knew that. Just like he knew that making this delivery would cross a line he couldn't uncross. He'd go from counting money to moving heroin, from accomplice to active participant. What if I say no? Diego's smile never wavered. Then I'll be disappointed. And when I'm disappointed, people get hurt. Not you. I like you. Miguel, but maybe your friend Marcus, the smart one going to Columbia. Or Ray, who thinks he's being clever watching my club from across the street. Or Tommy, whose father drinks too much and might have an accident. The threat hung in the air, casual and absolute. So what do you say, Miguel? Are you ready to take the next step? Miguel looked at the heroin again, at the money, at Diego's expectant face. He thought about his friends, about Carmen, about all the choices that had led him to this moment. And he realized that Carmen had been right all along. Diego hadn't offered him a choice. He'd offered the illusion of choice while systematically eliminating every other option. Yeah, Miguel heard himself say. I'm ready. Diego clapped him on the shoulder. the gesture almost affectionate. "Good man, I knew you'd understand. Now let's talk about the details." As Diego explained the delivery, the warehouse, the time, the protocols, Miguel felt himself splitting in two. Part of him listened and nodded, learning what he needed to survive. But another part, the part that was still the kid who'd played stickball with Marcus and Tommy and Ray, was screaming. That part knew he'd just agreed to something that would define the rest of his life. However long that life lasted. When Diego finally left, Carlos remained in the doorway, silent and watchful. Miguel sat down at the counting table, surrounded by money and poison, and wondered if his friends had any idea how far gone he already was. The answer, he suspected, was no. And maybe that was better. Let them remember him as he used to be before Diego Santos taught him the true price of survival in the Bronx.